Welcome to the Daily B Show with Matty B and joined by Enzo LaRocca, high performance real estate agent in the East Coast of America, up north there. He is an inspirational speaker. You can find him on Enzo Enlightens. He's published multiple books and he's just out there to help people grow and expand, find their passions, their purpose, and really believe in themselves. Enzo, thanks for joining me yet again, brother. Great to see you.
Hey, thank you, man, for having me once again. I really appreciate hopping on this show all the time. And everything you do, I think, is just it's in a positive light for everybody, man. So people like you, make people like me actually not want to stop what we're doing. It's important, man.
It is a snowball because I agree. Like there's yourself and there's multiple other people in my network that I see just constantly pumping out content, showing up every day, just being really consistent. And then those moments which we all get where we get down or just get lethargic. You really got like we both inspire each other, push each other to raise the bar and to just keep showing up.
And, I didn't expect to actually be doing live streams with Australia or Canada or anywhere else. It's been crazy. I'll be shocked if Russia tunes in next week.
It's amazing. Yeah, I love it. And same, that's probably an epiphany that I've had doing the Daily V Show is how many people that I've been able to really spread my fingers out and connect with around the world, from Europe to America to Asia, just all across the place. It's been phenomenal. And it's a great way to meet people just by putting yourself out there and wanting to share more content and to share what you've got. It just brings more awesome people into you.
Sure. You're doing a good thing, and I see a lot of high things for you, man. I see the beehive coming to the Madison Square Garden.
I love how we met, bro. Like I was on the train. Actually, I got back from Miami, 24-hour or 22-hour stopover. Not stopover, like trip from Miami up to Canada and back to Australia.
Yeah.
And then absolutely knackered, but on the train, finally back home from the airport, and I just jumped on Instagram, and here's Mr. LaRocca just doing his thing, doing a live on Instagram, and I'm having a little chat. I'm like, fuck, I'll just add myself and see if he wants to have a chat.
I'm in the middle of real estate talking, and then all of a sudden you pop in. I'm like, who's this? And boom, it's this guy over here on the train, and this talking about life philosophy. I'm like, what is this all mixed? How did you find me on there? How did that even cross?
Yeah, it's popped up, man.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
The stars aligned.
Amazing.
Together.
Well, it's a good thing, man. You become a pretty good friend. I love it, man.
100%.
I'm excited,
Yeah. And it is just testament to the synchronicities. Like you can be unsure or uncertain or lost in life, but you just never know what is around the corner. And I think that's a big thing to hold on to. And I know, like, we both grew up, specifically without fathers a lot of it in our life as young children. And it's easy to sort of just be hit around by the ebbs and flows of life.
Oh.
Yeah, man, we're here to specifically chat about following your heart's desire. And in the mix of being thrown around in life, it is, like we just said before jumping on here, like it's really hard, and most people don't follow their heart's desire because they just get knocked around so much. But first of all, can you share what it means to you to follow your heart's desire?
I think it's to listen to that voice that's inside your head. I mean, no matter what you do in life, there's always a voice in your head that's just telling you that something doesn't feel right or you need to be doing something more. It's magnificent. It's almost like when you're driving home. You ever drive home and you just don't pay attention to how you got home? Like, how did I get there? It's like there's another brain inside your brain working, and it's conscious of who you are, where you got to go, how to get home, and it's taking care of you. It knows the fastest route.
Yeah.
And when you look, I feel like, following your heart's desire, your intuition, if you will, is pretty much the same thing. It's like a wired system in your head that actually tells you this is what probably will work better for you because of your life experience. Like there's a whole another thing going on in our heads. And I think if you pull science is funny with that. They say it's the prefrontal cortex is where your intuition lies. Your heart's not here, it's right here. And I find it really odd that most people, like in the primitive ages, the Stone Ages, like there was always those two voices, stay calm and cool, collective, or go fight for your life and, and build a town, build a city, build a family. And back then we followed intuition. We followed survival, like what felt right. Modern times now have switched around. Bless you. Now, you got to do it. But modern times have switched it around. More people now are more comfortable with being lazy and wondering and being scared. And they told that voice that says, hey, man, something's not right. They tell that voice to shut up. It's like we switched. We have less dreamers, less risk takers, less people going out there, going after like meaningful engagement, finding
Yeah.
things that make sense out of their life. So follow my heart's desire, in short, is trusting that voice inside, that's paying attention to the world when you're lost in certain thoughts. It's still watching everything around you. And it's
Yeah.
telling you, hey man, you could be way better.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think just to contribute to that as well, what has really stood out for me was um, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs and learning about what it means to become self-actualized, and
Sure.
that thing within us that is innately like our core potential and our innate passion and desire within us. It's not a luxury to seek to fulfill that, to seek to actualize that. It's actually a core human need to strive towards actualizing our potential. And that inner voice that we hear, that's sort of the guidance system pulling us in that direction. But like you said,
Sure.
like so many of us wanted to stay comfortable. We don't dream
Yeah.
big. We're just stuck in this comfort zone, this small world mentality, limitation mentality. So it's a big airplane flying over, and it
Well,
keeps us small. It keeps people depressed, really, in one form or another.
mhm. I mean, believe it or not, you have like two ways of being significant. You got the significance of wanting to fit in with the people around you, having that equal transaction of why you guys are a tribe, why you are lovers, why you are business partners. And a lot of times we focus on that significance versus what makes us feel significant inside.
Mm.
This is where it counts the most, because this is the person you got to live with your whole life.
Yeah,
And as you go in life, you can do everything for everybody around you, everything to please all these different people, but they may change their priorities in life, and they may leave you. They may leave this area that you guys were all cool hanging out with, and then you're going to find yourself alone. And if you don't know who you are and you haven't been who you're supposed to be a long time, you'll never be suffice to be happy.
bro. What did you, looking back? What How would you have explained and described life before even tapping into this on a logical level and recognizing that this is the thing to follow your heart?
I didn't really have big expectations. Everything was just kind of simple for me. I didn't have a father growing up, and I didn't really think that would bother me. But as I got older, I found out that it bothered me in different reasons. I would find there were certain things I needed at different ages in my life. I'm like, wow, this really is going to suck. And it's like the
Yeah,
pain always adjusts itself, you know? So when I was a lot more younger, it was more about, just wanting to be loved, wanting to feel significant, wanting to have enough. My mother is a very, excuse me, my mother's a very agreeable person. She's not really conscientious of like being a business person and being solid. She's very nurturing and loving, and she, took care of her kids when my father was gone. And I think that agreeableness is kind of what ended up shaping me, and it made me a lot more nicer and caring towards people. So all I really valued in life was I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to be around people. I didn't have the goals, and until I got a little bit older in life,
yeah,
and I started I started exploring. Like I would take my bike and cross the street when I wasn't supposed to, and I end up in these parts of the woods, or I take a video camera and I try to make movies. The more stuff, my curiosity is what started to develop, my nature to want to be more curious in life. And that's kind of like, when I started realizing like my intuition did not want to stay in one place. I was destined to go on a massive journey in life. And it gets really upsetting as you get older though, because if you're not stable at a young age, with the job and the house and all this stuff, society's like, what are you doing?
yeah,
But inside your head, it's like something's wrong. Like I can't stay here. I
yeah,
can't do this job. I don't feel right. And so it's taken me on a journey. And I think now at my age, it's starting to come full circle, because, I'm starting to become this guy now. I'm getting these calls from you, from all these different people. It's starting to finally manifest itself. And it took some time to understand.
yeah. Definitely, it's huge, and I can definitely relate to the restlessness and the want to continue to search and to venture out and adventure. One thing also I feel like I've been blessed with is big ambitions, which I
Sure.
recognize not everyone has. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
so I'm not too sure yet whether that is something I'm sure it can be learned. I know it can be learned, but that's just always been with me, and I feel like that's been a blessing, because in my darkest times and times of most uncertainty, it's been those big, like, grandiose, what other people would call unrealistic ambitions that have just kept me moving forward. It's like I know that certain things are going to happen in life. It's just a matter of when they're going to happen. It's not a matter of if. So it's not like I need to even try. Of course, we need to put our effort in and take action. But I just know that, yeah, I'm meant to be doing a certain amount of things in this world, and with my own life. Um, and I feel like there's a lot of people that really struggle with that big, like, dreaming big, and that foresight, being able to look forwards far into the future, and people are stuck in the here and the now in this sort of really
Sure.
limited space. So
It keeps you there, but I think you have to go after it, because you have to go into your curiosities in your head. You have to go after meaningful engagement, because it may not make sense now, but there's only two things you could ever leave anybody in the world. There's only two things. You could leave them the way that you made them feel, and a system that they can use. And you never know, like, if you're going to make that system, if you're going to be the Wright brothers or Einstein or any of those people in the world. So it's so important to keep going out there and doing things that feel true to your heart. I want to open up a pizzeria. I want to be an artist. Whatever it is. Pizzeria, right? So whatever it is, because somebody may be like, thank you so much for making that. Thank you so much. You may change the world along the way by creating something that the world needs. I mean, happiness really comes from, being happy in the process of what you're doing, being curious about it every day. If you're not curious about it, you're wasting your time. But then the greater happiness comes from being needed from people. And I found that over life, I'm like, I feel better. Like, when I was younger, I felt better to be appreciated.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how many more things can I go on in my life? How many more journeys can I take? How much more creative can I make my friendships, my relationships, my businessships, and doing more things and getting the most out of life? Because I'm finding different chords to strike that where I'm finding I'm needed here, I'm respected here. And it's like this pursuit of just something that feels so gratifying. Like, I'm becoming, something more important. I'm living out my life. I want to say this though. Where my life really began to change was, can you hear me, Claire?
Yeah.
I had taken a part-time job working in a nursing home in 2005. And I was a rehab assistant, occupational and physical therapy. And I was, we were lifting the skin, we were cleaning the wounds. I was helping, the elderly people. On the third floor was the people with schizophrenia and dementia.
Wow.
And the one thing, and they would always talk to me. And the one thing I noticed is how lonely life is when you get older, how scary it is.
Yeah.
I watched the families come in, and I knew it in my head. A clock would go off in my head. I'd be like 4 minutes, 10 minutes. And I knew it. Boom, the minutes hit. They're like, all right, sorry, mom, pop, we got to go. The kids, I got to go here. They would leave them. They would come do their due diligence and say hello to the parents or the relatives or the friend, and they'd be out. And these elderly people that can't get up, that can't sit, would be sitting in this bed, with a TV that had about 9 channels, and a nurse coming in there with about 40 horse pills to throw down their throat, watching their families leave out the window. And what they would give, especially when they got sick at 60, at 50, even if it was 70 or 80. Like, and I thought in my head, I was like, wow, exhaust my life, exhaust the hell out of it as much as I can. Because I'm telling you, people always say all the time, like, oh, you got time, you got patience. No, you don't. Your brain develops by the age of 25. Our old lifespans, I think, were 35 or 40, and then we were done. Medicine has kept us alive longer. We are keeping ourselves alive a lot longer than we actually were made to be alive. We're getting an extra half a life because of our technology. So what happens is we're combating against a degenerating system, falling apart. Yeah. And you don't know if your next 10 years are going to be fun years you're running around, or years where you're hospital bedridden. So you need to go out there, and that was a trigger for me. Exhaust the fuck out of my life. When I I don't watch television at all. I watch it when it's all good. He wants to join too. I watch it when I want to eat food. That's it. Because I know that one point in my life, it's all I'm going to watch. And I'm hoping I watch it and I'm like, what the hell is this? Because I've never seen any TV. So I tell anybody out there, man, exhaust your lifetime,
Sorry.
Australia Outback, bro. It's the Australian Outback.
I love it.
That's probably where they should have filmed Texas Chainsaw Massacre, out there. Is that a chainsaw?
So, bro, far out. Have you seen Wolf Creek?
No.
Oh God.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
yeah, scare. There's been enough scary films shot out here, and actually, as I'm talking to you, you should see these spider webs that are here as well. I was going to do a video of them last night, but I'll do one after this, like a quick one. They're probably that big, and they're like,
Yeah.
everywhere over this tree right in front of me here. It is like a horror movie.
Listen, pre-Halloween,
Yeah.
pre-Halloween. Yeah.
Um, what are you doing specifically to follow your heart to give people some examples and maybe some tangible ideas of the synchronicities that have come up with the things that have come up within you, and then what you've
Mhm.
done to specifically follow them and follow that guidance?
So, you know, um, excuse me, I sold it earlier. So there's a writer, Ernest Becker, that came out, and he basically said in his book, he did the Denial of Death book, and he was, and he studied psychology and why we are the way we are. And he said, we came from nothing to have a name, a culture, and all that stuff. And you look at it, and what I kind of realized too, it does make sense. Like the first part of your life, you're not who you may want to be. You're just what everybody told you to be and shaped you, and
Yeah,
and you're reacting using the cultures and the tools and the religions that you were taught, and your experiences you're getting are from knowledge that was preloaded in your head.
yeah,
But at some point, you got to get yourself awake and go, is this really making me happy? Is this what I want? Because I only have X amount of years to live my life. Most of the people around me that I'm trying to please are probably going to go off and have their own different types of lives, and I'm going to find myself alone.
mm,
So I want to find out who I am and what I'm made of. So what I started doing was trying different things and finding out that I was really good at a bunch of different things. And then I realized I don't have all the time in the world to do all these different things. I got to choose one at a time and try it in a bunch of different ways and see, how it makes me feel inside,
yeah,
and also if it's valuable to people around me. And if that wasn't working, then I try the next thing. So my curiosity is to discover, how much more I can get out of myself is what has led me to start following my heart more. And if you ever notice, people that travel more are less angry. They're more likely to reason in a conversation. They're more likely to have better relationships. People that have vaster minds and vaster hearts, a lot of anger comes from feeling defensive and trapped. Sadness comes from feeling there's no way out, going down the rabbit hole. But if you know, because you've tried different things and talked to different people and just experiment in life, you know that there's many more outlets out there for you.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because at
absolutely.
the end of the day, you're the sailor. You're not the boat. The culture, the boat is the culture around you. You're the sailor stuck in the ocean, and you cannot control the waves. So you have to really get in tune with yourself and be like, all right, how am I gonna navigate myself, and react to this whole thing? I don't have control of the boat. Life is just gonna happen to me, and I've got to know who I am and how I could be the best person I could be. So
Yeah,
yeah.
massive, man. I remember specifically, like, I'd get, yeah, feel trapped, feel depressed, and just like there was no escaping, like there was no point of it all, um, and it was hard to get out of that. But now, when with this, like a wider perspective of, um, I guess what reality is and consciousness and myself and a part of that, um, when those big waves come and hit and they come crashing down,
Hmm.
there is that foundation now that is there,
Sure.
and it is, um, it's a beautiful journey now that of something that I can now experience
Hmm.
the pits of life and really
Sure.
experience those emotions of sadness and anger or frustration,
Hmm.
whatever it might be, but with the knowing that it is a part of that wave that's going to come back up as well, and not feel so hopeless and beaten by it, but actually recognize it's just a part of that ocean that we're riding as that sailor, and there's no waves without any troughs. So there's peaks and troughs, and you've got to go up
Sure.
and down. Um,
Sure.
and it really that has really been a big help for me in going from someone that was really that self sabotaged a lot, self destructed, a lot of self loathing, a lot of lack of belief, and
Sure.
and feeling like there was no hope, to someone that is
Hmm.
now putting themselves out there as an example for others to start believing in themselves and their potential as well, which is that, like you said, that bigger picture, having that bigger perspective, which is really beautiful, which is why I love hanging around and talking to people like yourself that share that same
Thank
vision and
you.
that same passion.
But I think what you did is you did what most people don't do. See, the thing is, most people know how to get motivated. They know how to follow motivation, but they don't know how to construct the method to
Uh-huh.
make it the automated machine that it goes good. So in other words, you know, you go back to the gym because you want to lose weight per se, but your body is not ready to lose weight.
Yeah.
It's going to take time by changing your diet, changing your discipline of your workout routine until your body becomes a fat burning machine. And also you have to change your relationships and the people you spend time with so they keep you motivated for that. So in other words, you know, when you were struggling going through the patches of your life, and I know a little bit about it because I've seen some of it over there, you created the bee. You created the daily bee. You created the beehive. You created this world around you where it would force you to be responsible, you know, to uplift people.
Yeah.
And you created this entire world where you'd be acknowledged by other people, where they would pray, you know, not pray, it's a horrible word, where they would build upon, you know, one of your significant needs, which is to feel important because they're coming around to you.
Yeah.
You creating this whole thing is what let you know that there's always a door of light out there. And I think most people don't realize that part of the work is getting the message in your head that you got to follow your intuition or your heart. The second part is patience to
Yeah.
build the structure that's going to make you feel good. You wake up in a house, the sun's shining, very different than waking up in a house that has a horrible smell and you didn't sleep good. Your environment keeps you strong because we are LIFE, living in frequent evolution. We are a very malleable species. We are always being affected by things.
Yeah.
You are in a fight for the rest of your life, no matter what you do. There is no consistency. For some reason, the convenience of modern society has made people very lazy. They don't have to work for relationships. They don't have to work hard to get raises. They don't have to work hard to get approval from mom and dad when they're failures. They don't have to work hard for anything. And that's the wrong mentality.
Yeah.
Back in the primal years, we were vicious, man. We built villages, we slayed animals, we built colonies, we built tribes. And we said, the last thing I'm going to do is be freaking lazy and entitled. This time, I could tell you earlier before, I just switched around and people are like, well, I did a little bit. Where is your fighting spirit? You get one life and the window's shrinking.
Do you
So
think
most
that's the
people need to go
biggest
out
dream
there.
killer? Is the state of comfortability, like our comfort zone? Is that the biggest dream killer?
Yeah, it's a big factor because, you know, we're humans, we're good and we're evil. We're optimistic and we're pessimistic. We're polygamous and we're monogamous. We're everything. And we have all these tools so we can, you know, kind of be able to have some kind of stability. But we got to learn when to turn off the hot water and turn on the cold water. We have to learn to that. We have to know when to turn off the laziness and keep moving.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a big part of it. Yes, I think the laziness is a killer. Being comfortable is a killer because how different would your life be if you realize you were never trapped? How different would it be if you realize that every argument, you know, with your lover, your friend can be solved right then and there if you knew how to turn off your ego and you said, let's not talk about the past. Let's talk about what's going to make us happy and what new can we do for tomorrow. I used to tell this to people. They say like, you know, what about my relationship? You know, we don't mix. We're different people, blah, 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 and all that stuff like that. And I was like, well, you know, the one way to create a better bond is to go out there and do something that you both have never done. That way you put yourselves in an alien world and the experience is completely organic, and it's completely natural, and it's an experience that only you two share and makes you feel closer.
Yeah.
Like go on in life. Don't go
Yeah.
back. Go on. You're gonna hurt your neck when you go back. Let it go because there's never coming back. Go get everything you can out of your life.
I love it.
You know, and that's a big thing. The body's a little stupid. Like you ever get anxiety? You get anxiety when you're about to go on stage, or you're getting anxiety with people, and you're like, why do you get anxiety? You're not fighting for your life. The body's weird. So you got to like be very aware of your situations and control yourself. You know what I mean? Control your discipline, control your laziness, control your efforts. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I know I'm throwing a lot out there right now, but I'm just saying that all the power is right here is discipline. And discipline is a daily act of self-correction. You're going to get better every day if you keep sitting down with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, tell me some of the obstacles that you have faced personally when it came to getting out of
Oh
that
God.
comfort zone and really following your heart's desire.
Well, I always say I was born in the wrong family and the surroundings because I never felt like everything around me. Um,
Uh-huh.
I think it was just like, I had this curiosity to write, and I would write more. And then I had this curiosity to draw and this curiosity to explore. And when most kids are watching cartoons young age, I'm watching the Twilight Zone. I just didn't fit in with people. And at first it was hard for me. Like I really denied this feeling of, I wanted to be very smart. I wanted to understand how love worked. I wanted to know like why my mom and dad were fighting. I wanted to know why people were crying. I wanted to know. I used to say to me, here comes Enzo, all these questions.
Yeah.
And then, and so I would stop asking questions because people kept making fun of me for asking questions. And then I started writing a lot, and I got made fun of for writing poetry and stuff. And I would slow down writing my poetry. And then I would go I started pursuing the entertainment world because I liked a platform that had no limit and wasn't simple and it was crazy and you had to deal with all these different people. I was, my dopamine in my head is very stimulated by a constant go. And then people would say to me, who are you trying to be? You think you're famous? Is it what you want to do? Why do you want to have that in your life? And I would slow that down. And it was like so many years of my life, I was so worried about just being accepted by the people around me. And the longer I stayed to be accepted by the people around me, they went on. That's what I told you earlier. They started to go on with their priorities and their lives and being around people that made more sense to them. And there was less time for Enzo. And all of a sudden, this whole world of all these friends and family stuff, I had less and less in common because I didn't get my life kickstarted. I was a man that has seen a lot of things, but that's when I realized like, I can't be afraid anymore, to be who I got to be. Everybody's going to leave me. I'd rather be the one that leaves my loneliness and all that nonsense and go after what I'm worth. And so I do a lot of stuff completely alone. Everything you see online is me, organic, by myself. And it started to work itself out because I had a quote a long time ago. I said, patience will give you time, but time will take your patience. And time will also put that doubt in there. So as I started going along, when I see people like yourself chiming in, and across the country chiming in, Enzo, can I call you? Can I talk to you? I'm becoming this guy that has value, and it feels really good to help people, and it makes me look back
value, or you're beginning to recognize how much value you have.
I think I'm recognizing it because I don't. I still struggle with people. Like I'm a nice guy, I'm easy. I forgive people too quick, and it's like, I don't know. I don't like somebody told me you have power. I don't recognize what power I can be. I don't recognize it. I look tougher than I am. And it's just like, but it's okay because, I'm learning, I'm gaining more. I think the momentum for me is building, at 40 years old, I've done more than most people surround me have ever done in their life, So, yeah.
I love it. And so for those that are stepping into this space and finding this, following their heart concept as something new maybe, or just starting to really begin practicing it,
Well,
how would you say, I was just going to ask, how have you handled the people in the past that haven't supported you in your decisions when it really is something that that innately is just your calling to be, that you're drawn to do, and you're met with resistance and discourse and distaste from those around you, and sometimes the ones that you think love you the most?
It's a good question. Well, at first, I think you handle it with, I handled it with bitterness and anger and competitiveness and excuses. Like, why are you going this way? And it really bothered me. And then as time went on, I realized like everything in life goes on. We're a lot of us are temporary business deals. We're not supposed to be forever real. We're supposed to spend some time in people's lives. And if we don't consistently evolve with common interest and evolve, to be curious about each other, to find meaning in each other's friendship, because our lives are taking too much of our time, our friendships are going to break apart. It takes work. It's a seesaw. Seesaws don't work with a fat guy on one end and you got to be even weight of knowledge and effort. So as time went on, I just started to accept that, and I said, the best thing I can do is to do what makes me feel happy, and to discover what more I could do and create this life for myself. And like I told you, like a little before, you take a risk and you become better in life at doing things. You may strike while you're doing something that makes you happy. You just may strike something that the world needs. that your circle needs. All of a sudden, your friend that you haven't been cool with in 5 years comes around and like, damn, like now we're on the same level again. And that's okay. You have to be okay with being alone. You have to be okay with doing things on your own. We're supposed to break apart and come back. You know, you're the sailor. You're not the boat. Your friendships are cold. You're not that. That's borrowed.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kura Cashley was on the show a couple of episodes ago, and he talks about we're all in our own orbit, and from time to time our orbits come close to one another, but then they spin out of each other's space, and it's okay. Like, we're all in our own orbit, and there's no right or wrong for however long, whether it's a partner, a friend, a family member, a stranger. We're all on our own orbit, and so we are on this journey on our own. But from time to time, other people's orbits come and meet up with ours from time to time.
Sure. I mean, you could keep your friendships together. I mean, that's possible. But I mean, like, you have to find new ventures together, new common interests. You try out new things. Just like if you're trying to figure out. You got me good? You got me good?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll switch the thing. So, I mean, as long as you create new ventures, you go, hey, let's try something new. You may just find the new energy and get in sync, you know? Like, our grandparents fell in and out of love multiple times. But they keep finding something to keep it original. You know, they put the hard work in together. So, like, I have a lot of friends that, like, we're not as close as we used to be because everybody's got their own lives. I have to respect that. So now what I want to attempt to do is maybe put, certain dates in the Google Calendar of, like, no matter what, this is our Nirvana plateau together, and let's do something every day. And let's just see if, like, you know what, that was so much fun. Let's go gamble again. Let's go play basketball again, whatever. You have to create something new.
Yeah.
And I think the key is to stay optimistic in your life. It really is. It's those kind of things, that make a difference.
Yeah, and optimistic about the future as well, because things can get messed up in the moment. But as long as you hold that optimism for the future, then it gets you through the here and the now, the breakups of relationships for the time being, the struggles in careers, the uncertainty around your path. But as long as you've got that optimism for the future, that really.
Sure. I mean, but if you step back, you realize there really are no struggles. If you really think about it, the struggles are getting to the summit of what you want as your goal, but everything else can be explained, can be interpreted differently if you have good optimism, and a new discovery could be found somewhere else. We have so much resources, but we put ourselves in this box, and and you don't want to, you don't want to live your life in a mental box because you're going to be placed in one when you're dead. You want to be out there living your life, man.
Yeah.
So, and I think that takes practice.
Oh,
it takes 100%. Practice every day.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, how many books do you read? Like, how many books have you read recently?
What's recently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The last couple months. How many books have you read?
4 to 5.
So I can guarantee that through reading those books, it's taught your mind a bit of patience. It's taught your mind, time blocking, to have control of having a more hyperactive mind. It's probably expanded, your mindset to things.
Definitely.
And that's the benefit of it. You're adding to this. Your brain can only get more vast.
Yeah.
And most people live in this tiny little area right here when there's so much more they can do. Well, granted, not all of us are going to be like, neurologists and astrophysicists, but there is room to grow.
Always, yeah. And that's also coupled with the belief system that everything's happening for us, not to us. So there's actually no problems. There's just circumstances that are happening to help us grow into the character that we want to be. So whatever we're striving to achieve, the universe is sort of placing itself in our way to help us develop ourselves and to grow and evolve into that space. And so any challenge that comes up, it's not a challenge because we're in victim mode and this horrible thing's happening to me randomly. It's this opportunities come up for me to overcome this next hurdle so I can get to the next level of my development. And with that mindset, it's like it's a beautiful space. Like, you meet every challenge that comes up, whether it be a death of a loved one or a breakup of a relationship or the economy crashing, you meet it with fucking bring it on. Challenge accepted, motherfuckers.
Well, of course. Well, I mean, you're the sailor of your destination. The boat is your culture, your family, your job. The jacket you put on, everything around you that you don't have control over. It's just sharing some time with you. That's why I say the hell with the boat. It's the sailor in the ocean, and the ocean is everything that happens. The ocean is like is your fate. You don't know how long you have to live. You don't know what's going to happen with your health as you get older. You know, you don't know what fate is going to bestow you.
Yeah.
So as long as you are in control, treating your life as being the sailor of your destiny, you sail as long until the sun sets. It's the best thing you could possibly do.
I love it, Ben. And I've got two questions I want to ask specifically around this as well. And we've kind of touched on this in part, but I want to just hear your thoughts more specifically. Is how does one follow their heart?
How does one
follow their heart's desire? How?
Well, there's two reasons. There's two ways. Well, first of all, do you hear a voice in you? Is there something telling you that you need to be doing something more? Is there something telling you to be curious about something? You know, if that's one part of it. The other part is maybe you don't have any voice in you because you're just like a zombie into a zone. So what I would suggest is, real quick, is for those people that don't really feel like they have the intuition to do anything, they're kind of comfortable. You're not wrong, but I would advise you to put some time away during the week to be a different version of you and do different things. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me get right back. Hold on.
That's all right.
Okay, you back? Lost you for a second. Okay. So what I would tell you is, if you are that person that just that doesn't have that intuition flowing in you, and you have no curiosity, you've been doing the same thing every day, and you're like, yeah, it's good as it gets, or I'm happy. For God's sakes, you have a short life. Try to be a different version of you by doing something different. Throw yourself outside the realm. Go backpack somewhere. Go stay in a hostel. Do things of that nature, so that you can see if something clicks in you. If a spark goes off, you know what? I'm kind of curious about this. That's number one. And once you get to that point and you are that person that has an intuition in there that's just saying, you know what, man, I think a relationship should be different. And I really want to design. I really want to write. I really want to sing. Or I really want to work on cars, or whatever have you, whatever it comes to be. You have to, it depends where you are in your life. If you have a family and kids, you adopted priorities. Now you have to be there for them. Your day starts outside of them. And if that gives you 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, you have to work around your priorities. It's like if you were physically, if you were suffering from a health ailment or something, you'd have to try to work better on your days that you feel better. Yeah. So how do you do it? You set time aside to be totally focused on seeing, on doing the act. If public speaking is it, you go out there and you book as many public speaking events as you can. You try to book them as you can. If it's drawing, you draw as many pictures as you can. You try to take the thing that you love doing and put it in all different forms of media and all different forms of life consequence, all of them. You put it out there, you exhaust it, document it, do it as much as you can out there, because at some point, doing what makes you happy, someone's going to go, man, you're a hit. I need that in my life. So you just start by doing. And then not only that, but you have to be very aware of, and I always say this every day, add, remove, filter. And what that means is, in order to be, tunnel vision, to be successful in something, you can't be distracted. So every day when you're following your heart, add things that are going to help you pursue it more and faster. Remove the distractions out of your own habits and the people around you that distract you. And then work your way filtering everybody, because as you start to progress up the summit, all the bad energy, all the bad distractions, temptations come at you, and you filter it. Eventually your cup of life water or intuition will be purified. But it's going to be a process every day till you get there. That makes sense.
That's beautiful.
Doable.
Would you subscribe to people that if they're not familiar or if they're not clear about what their life mission is, that be their life mission until they get clear on that?
I think that's it's a good way. I mean, living in frequent evolution. I mean, you break down the numbers, nature has taught you that nothing stays. So why are you trying to figure your entire life out? You should be exhausting the hell out of it. Every role that you take in life is a jacket you wear for a short amount of time. Even people that raise kids, at some point you let your kids go. You did your job. You take the jacket off now. They're going to want to show you, they're going to take care of you at some point. So anyone out there that hasn't found a life purpose, find every way, to sample different things in life, like wine tasting, life tasting. Try it until something hits. Just do that. Don't worry about, impressing people, because most people are going to leave you anyway at some point. They got their own priorities to live. I don't know why we chain ourselves to being one way. It's like you die without ever living. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I'm very comfortable right now, and I can tell you right now in my life, um, that I don't have the same group of friends, and I don't have this massive closeness with my family. I really don't. And there's still a lot of love and likability. I wake up alone. I go to bed alone. I write books alone. I publish things alone. The world, the people in different states that are reaching out to me, they are becoming, the quintessential, like, Quan for me. And I didn't ask it. It's just starting to happen on its own. And I'm going to trust this process because I feel like what I'm doing is giving back an undeniable value for people. So anybody out there that is questioning what they need to do with their life, they need to start doing their life because it will be there. The answer is 100% there. You're just conditioned to quit too early.
So what are the consequences for people not living their true heart's desire and following that
Well,
calling?
I worked. Well, there's a couple of things. I worked in a nursing home, so obviously there's that whole stigma of regrets. I should have this. I should have did this. And there's nothing you can do when you're 90 or you're 80 or your oxygen's failing at 65 or whatever. So regret is a consequence of not trying to be everything you could be. Um,
Mm.
Selfishness to the world. You're being selfish to the world. Somebody out there needs something that you're about to do. If the Wright brothers didn't try to fly off over there, we may not even have planes. You know what I mean? If Elon Musk didn't start making these crazy apps, we wouldn't have PayPal. We wouldn't have all these different things. Like, it's almost like you're cheating the world. It's like someone that commits suicide. Yeah, that you're legit for having the pain aside, but you're hurting more people around you by not sharing your gift. We are a social engagement species for a reason. So the consequences of not pursuing your dreams is you will never know how great you could be. You will never know if you are going to create a spark that's going to warm the world. And at the end of your deathbed, if you can still see things that you didn't do, you take that with you to your grave. You know what I mean? And it's going to be a horrible thing. And most people on their deathbed are sitting there in hospice getting morphine shots. So the reality is completely dimmed out and gone. People aren't even there anymore, right? Your family's around you, but you're not there anymore. So it's like why life is live and bright right now. Embrace the hell out of it. You're made to be more than what you are, but you're just not conditioned. Like I said, you got to get the mindset. You got to build the method of how you're going to control everything and filter things around you. And then you will become the automated machine. And it's like second nature, but it takes effort and time daily.
Daily. Be awesome
Daily.
daily on the daily
The
be.
daily, it takes daily. It takes the daily B, with Maddie Banks, on Australia, coming at you like the Portuguese man of war. And, with the fierceness of Crocodile Dundee. I was a little, I was a little upset you were having a beer, and I said Foster, and you said that's American. That's an American version of Australia.
Yeah.
I don't know what the national beer is in Australia.
Well, that's it. In America, they think we all drink Fosters over here. I don't even think I've seen a Fosters for sale over here for a long time.
Sure, sure,
But
sure.
one last thing that I want to share with people that really hit home with me when this was shared with me and really helped me begin to drop my focus from my head to my heart. And I forget exactly who it was quoted this, but there's a book out recently that basically said last century was the discovery of the mind. The next century is the 18-inch journey from our head to our heart. And essentially, right, we've got billions of bits of information that are coming through our mind every single second, right? But and our brain waves, and our brain is here to keep us really safe and protected and make sure that everything's running smoothly and okay. But
Sure.
beyond that, 90% of our thoughts are the same things we thought yesterday. They're repetitive thoughts. And 80% of our thoughts have been influenced by outside influences or by past experiences or by
Sure.
other people's teachings and lessons, right? So less than 20% of our thoughts are uniquely ours. Less than 10% of them are unique thoughts on a daily basis. And not only that, but our brain wasn't even, our heart was beating before our brain was even formed when we were growing in our mother's womb, when we were developing as a fetus, right? And so our heart as well, the heart is a cluster of neurons, just like our gut and our brain. So we've got actually three brains. Our whole body's essentially a brain. But with these
Sure.
three big clusters, our heart waves are something like 6,200 times more penetrable and stronger than our brain waves are. So
Mhm.
just that information there alone, with our heart being unmanipulatable as in comparison to what the brain is, and being that much stronger, you just need to. What I was just told was simply say, change the vocabulary from what am I thinking about to how am I feeling. And that simple shift in vocabulary, those simple shifts in your words, you'll start sinking into your
Yeah.
body, and letting your gut and your heart
Yeah.
really start to be your guidance system.
Sure.
And instead of needing, and
Sure.
basically you just ask, am I safe? And as long as you're safe and you're not getting chased by a fucking wildebeest, or like chased by a gang of youths, or run over by a car, then you go, all right, thanks mind for keeping me safe. Now you can fuck off. I don't need all your insecurities and fears anymore. How am I actually feeling? Does this feel like the right path, or does this give me the heebie-jeebies? And as long as it feels like the right, like it's
Sure.
literally binary. It's this way or that way, and that's where I have
Yeah.
found practicing that has really allowed me to get that alignment. And it's not so much aligning the insecurities and fears from up here to the way my body's feeling. It's about recognizing the value of what my mind is here for, is to
Sure.
that intellectual, logical
Sure.
mind of keeping safe in society and
Yep.
surviving. And then once that's done its job, then allowing my body to do its job and go, how am I feeling right now? Does this feel
Sure.
good? Does this feel forced? Does this feel effortless and
Mhm.
natural? And
Yep.
just moment by moment, you said it was a practice before, but really practicing that over the last probably 12 to 18 months, man, it's the amount of synchronicities that are coming up in life now. The connectedness I feel to my intuition is, it's not 5 or 10 or even 100 times more than what it was. It's exponentially more. It's 5,000,
Sure.
10,000 times stronger than what it was only 2 years ago. And that's I just want to share that with people, because that's one thing that has really helped me.
I think it's a good thing. You're conditioning yourself to have state breaks, mental state breaks. Biological state breaks, physiological state breaks. You're giving yourself time every day to this you give yourself time every day. Sorry about these calls are coming in.
Okay.
You're giving yourself time. You give yourself time every day to ask yourself, is this who I want to be today?
Yeah.
Is this how I want to be? You should be doing that every day. So I tell everybody out there, take yourself on a discovery trip, but make sure you do something you completely would never do before, and just go see what happens. Just go see. You had all your life to be in routine and all your life to play it safe. Like I said, back in the day, back in the day with the cavemen and stuff like that, we were more following intuition and taking chances and stuff, which allowed us to build this wonderful world up the way it is. And now we actually have become a slave to it by being lazy. So you need to put at least every day, a state break in to constantly keep yourself sharp, and then at least give yourself a couple of discovery trips, because and it's not that you're ever going to find what you're supposed to be completely forever. You may, but you're always going to change. Who you are at 40 you may be needed differently at 50 and 60 and 70. Like I can't see living life on repeat. The only reason why we repeat is the same reason why most addicts go back to having drinking drug problems, because once it's wired, and your neural connections and your synapses, once it's all a wider pattern, it's there. So when people build a better life for themselves and that falls apart, what's left? The same old pattern, which is still in there. You can't, unless you have brain damage, you can't unlearn what you learned. You can't unsee what you saw. So you should be making state breaks to create more connections in your head. Oh, I don't have to sit here and dwell on this. I can do this. I can do this. It's a habit. It's a great habit to build, a habit of evolving yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we're only ever doing one of two things: either reaffirming old belief systems or challenging old belief systems and creating new ones. And so if you don't feel like
Yeah.
you've challenged any old belief systems lately and created new ones, then all you're doing is rerunning those same stories. And instead of being 90% of the same thoughts as yesterday, you probably got close to 100% of the same thoughts as yesterday, just reaffirming the same shit.
Yeah. People that are used to traveling travel nonstop. People never travel, they procrastinate to get there. What I would like to do is, I'd like people out there right now who are watching this, and I hope you stay on the string, is keep up, comment, maybe comment every week on this string, on the, because you're gonna leave the video up, comment on it all the time. Like, what have you done differently this week? What have you done differently today? I'd really like to see, keeping each other accountable. Find an accountability partner that says, what'd you do today differently? What'd you do today differently? It sounds crazy, but that's massive right there.
Yeah.
Because if you write it down and you can't follow writing it down, have an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Pay someone $50 a week to call you and say, hey, bitch, what'd you do differently today? Like literally get moving, and it will become the greatest discovery of your life. But too many people are just dying stale and settling for things that they don't want. And I think it's stupid. It really is stupid. The one thing that I've learned by taking chances, I'm learning to love myself alone. I'm learning to love, what I'm capable of. And for me, I'm like, wow, this is really what it's about. Being fearless in the short shimmering life you have.
Yeah, bro. What's one last thing you'd love to leave people with above and beyond that?
Above and beyond that, Mark Twain had a quote. The most important days of your life are the day you're born, the day you find out why. I can honestly tell you, your why will continue to go on. It evolves in time. So, if I could tell anybody anything important, it's please try. Don't die. Try. Just keep trying, because everything fleets. This is what we're living now. This is what's popular now. It's not going to be the same in a few years. So just please get in the habit of trying more. Go book yourself a trip to go do something. Go pick up another hobby, but don't just sit there and die. Try to be the best version of yourself beyond that. Because when you start to find out that people really need you for something, that's it. And I'll give you a quick example. A long time ago, we had the age of enlightenment. It was a big, big, big era. And then it got all quiet and conservative. Now the age of enlightenment and education is back. Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, all the most of the brilliant minds in the world, and even like people like Grant Cardone, the real estate Grant Cardone, they're realizing the value of educating people. People need that change. So please go out there and shine bright, because somebody may need to see your star and make a wish upon it.
And just to touch on that, like you see it, man, when you see it when people commit suicide, that it brings communities together. So even in the hour of someone taking their life because they feel they don't have any value, that is when you see communities come together and how valuable that person really was, all shining through there. And death often brings us closer together, unfortunately, because
Sure.
of how important and impactful each individual person is. So instead of cutting it short like that, it's there's so much to be shared. Like no matter where you've gone or what you've overcome, there's other people that are following suit that haven't overcome those same challenges that you've been able to, no matter how big or small you think they are. So you've got so much value packed into the life you've already lived. You don't need to go and achieve anything else to be of value. You've got it right here, right now. And recognizing that and just owning that sets you in really good stead to continue moving forwards really powerfully. So, brother, I appreciate it.
I mean, I thank you for everything, man, and always having me on the show. I just I told someone the other day, I'm like, don't you want to find out how great you could be? That's important. And yes, death and all that stuff does bring people close, but the problem is they go apart after that, because they don't build anything after that. Like maybe, it's like Russell Crowe said in The Gladiator, we get a lot farther if we work together. Maybe at this point, don't just come together and go home, but come together and create something that you probably could work on together. And I think that alone will change the entire world over there. So I appreciate what you're doing. And it's 103 episodes. You brought 103 conversations or more to the table. And you did the tour in Australia, which which was great too. And you'll be coming to the States soon. So and look at it like this. We talk a lot about this kind of stuff. Like, it is possible if you just do it. You don't need all the money in the world. You could just get started. Exactly. We're operating right now on a phone and on a wire and on a microphone, theend.com. Pretty simple.
Yeah. And it's been built up to this point. It was much simpler 100 episodes ago.
Oh. It was cups with strings.
That's I'm really excited about the Beehive. That's what it's all about, is helping people understand their power as individuals and growing them as an individual, because that's the best way that we can grow the collective and impact the world as the Hive and that community, is by impacting and growing individuals, so we can impact and grow the world as well around us. So I appreciate you, bro. Love it. Thank you so much for joining us again. And,
thank you. Thank you so much.
Next time.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate everything. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it, man. Take care.